Blessed love and peace in Rastafari. One thing I am reminded to share regarding the narrative that I shared earlier in this half day of recording is the brethren that I talk about, the hostility, the emasculating aggressions and abuse here in the village. In that I mentioned in the interaction, I mentioned the reason why I need to be, or I'm guided to be continually present and absorb amidst the verbal abuse, reverting to continuing to articulate directly to the brethren rather than just shutting the mind off and just doing a mantra. So there's something else that I share to him directly. I mentioned that I know he shares with me before because I know him for years, and at the beginning we have a very depth conversation. So in that initial conversation, he shares with me things that he does. So I bring that to his attention to help him sober up and be like, look, I know I'm not putting your business out here, but I know what you are and where you're from and what you've done and what's been done to you. And so let's get actual about this, because this is beyond whatever. He recognizes that, but at the same time he's drunk. He's out. He's anything. What I'm saying to him initially, in terms of like get on, and I try to relate with the some Tupac lines, but that I know that it hits strong with him because I know him. He's unresponsive to that, and when I respond to him directly in terms of just his personal personage, he just reflects it back and mirrors, and then just he feeds from that to just go back, continue at me. So then at some point, two things I say. One, I remind him, like, yo, I know you told me about what you've been through, and you told me what you've done. So I'm not trying to threaten him about, like, I'm not threatening, like, putting that on blast or whatever, but I'm just trying to let him know, like, hold up, pause up, brother, because I know what you told me yourself. And I could see that registers because he responds direct. He responds somewhat, but still, like, he's in his tirade mode. And then at some point, I actually told him, oh yeah, there's a number of things, because it got kind of serious. So regarding that, he says, like, eventually, like maybe a few seconds later or a minute later, whatever, he says, am I forgiven? He communicates that directly to me, and I say, you will be. And I say, that's not, okay, so that's that. What I had in mind to say is that you need to stop first. But I just say that because now he's responding to me, and there's some type of interaction, and then he reverts back to the abuse. So then I'm trying to, it's an interesting thing when somebody's just tenacious with verbal abuse, and at any time can get physical, but it's not physical yet. So it's very difficult to initiate physicality when it has yet to get to that point. But the verbal abuse is just so, it's probably about as bad as it can get, nearly as bad as it can get. And there's other people being affected by it. So I'm trying to think of whatever I can do to, like, nullify, to neutralize that verbal abuse without getting physical. So then I tell him, like, I'm a piece of shit. I say, I'm a piece of shit. You talking to God, though. Like, all those abuses that he's saying, and all the things, all that vulgarity and curses, he's talking to God. And so I'm endeavoring to, like, wake him up. And I'm not proclaiming myself as God. I'm saying that when he's proclaiming that, he's proclaiming it ultimately to God. Like, he's dealing with God beyond me. And I don't have sit-down conversation theological to, like, speak very articulately in that respect. But I just let him know, you're speaking with God. I'm a piece of shit. You're speaking with God. So I'm trying to sober him up and wake him up. That 15% that's there. And then I got into the talk about the bosses, and then I said, yo, you will. I said, I in that talk, I was getting that borderline. That's why I was being very careful. I was being mindful for myself. But what I do tell him, this is facts. What I tell him is that he's going to heaven, and I'm trying to say that in a reassuring way. And I tell him, it's like, that's not a threat. That's a promise. Because after he responds to that about like, am I asking if he's forgiven for what he's done? Because he knows what he told me. He knows what he's told me. He's a brilliant, a genius man in terms of reading people. In addition, that's part of the challenge, because cats can't ring him in through the years. He's an elder now. I mean, he's older. He's an elder. He's an old head, lightweight, a little bit younger than myself. But by that point, like, there's so much loss of faith in people because they don't know how to reach him, and he already figures them all out beforehand. So he just like, and then drink to get out, and whatever else. So, but meanwhile he's wrestling with his demons and angels, like I said before. So after he responds to that one about, am I forgiven? He asks if he's forgiven. I say, you will be. And that's the faith. That's the honest faith we walk in, and we trust in God. I say it's not up to me. That's God. But that's the faith that God communicates to us and shares with us. So that's honesty, and it's not no cap. And the other thing is, I mentioned, like, you are going to heaven. I'm looking at him right in his eye. The pupils dilated, and I say, you are going to heaven. You are going to heaven. I tell you, and I tell him that's not a threat. That's a promise. And I'm trying to be reassuring. Now, I can tell some people use that as like, yo, get ready to meet your maker, or whatever else. And I'm not communicating that way, but I am communicating in a mindset, because this is the mindset I walk with every day, that we walk with every day, that we trod with every day. Because it can be that way every day when cats pull a gun on the bus and whatever else. Cats running up, threatening, and everything else, just after a week after somebody else got killed a few blocks away. So this is the mindset. This is the awareness that we walk with, and how we walk, how we get out the door to walk, because we have this faith, and how we get out this door to walk and then greet people. So, all right. What else with that? Oh, so the other thing I was supposed to share is I said the levels of mathematics. So I said the first one is that the United States, plain and simple mathematics, the United States is a pirate ship, and the focus and the purpose of the pirate ship is to grab and kill. And every person who is a citizen of the United States proactively promotes the pirate ship. And that applies to every republic. That applies to every democratic government. Every member, every citizen of a democratic nation. Every citizen of a democracy today, that applies to. It's all one big pirate ship. Wada. So that's the lower level of mathematics. Here's the higher level of mathematics. I've already shared it before, but I'll share it here. Again, it's this. God, however we name and understand God, the ultimate authority, the ultimate reality. God is the ruler of heaven and earth. The devil is the ruler of earth. The prophet teaches, reminds, of the rules of heaven within earth. That's the higher mathematics. That's the universal mathematics, whatever you want to call that. And the important thing is to recognize when we talk about the devil rules the earth. How is that? I've already addressed that part of it. The important thing to recognize is that the devil is the position. The devil is the claim of ruling anything or anyone. And it's just the levels after that point. And the higher one proclaims and the higher one is recognized as such, that's the further epitome of the devilness. The devilness is the endeavor of controlling and conquering and subduing others. And it's not a person, it's not a people. It's a position, and anybody who is in that position, anybody who's recognized in that position, anybody who endeavors and has the ambitions of assuming that position, that's the devilhood. That's the devilhood. And the important thing to recognize, that's the lead up to the important thing to recognize, is not to demonize the devil. Not to hate, not to condemn the devil. That's the devil's trick. We have to love the devil. And that doesn't mean acquiesce and abide by and obey. No, it means love. Like Jesus says, devil, get behind me. But we still have to love, compassion, because that's how we continue to win. In this life and beyond this life. With all thanks and praise to the Most High Elohim. Blessed love and peace in Rastafari.